What's up, everybody? Matt Kajeski here, back again with the Stokastic DFS channel. And today I'm here to talk college football DFS. We're talking the Thursday slate. Weekday college football continues. We have two games. Before we get into that, make sure to hit the thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you know when this and all other content goes live. We're also brought to you today by Prize Picks. And if you've never heard of Prize Picks, they are daily prop-based offerings. You're making lineups of player props, all the major statistical categories you know and love. We're talking college football today, so you can do passing yards, rushing yards, receiving yards, touchdowns, pass attempts. They have everything you could possibly imagine. And it's not just college football, NFL, MLB, NBA, NHL, all of the major sports plus more. And you can mix and match these in your entries. You can mix an MLB line with a college football line, and you could do up to 5 of them where you can 10 extra entry fee. But better yet, they have a deal for you. If you click the link in the video description below, you'll get a first match deposit bonus up to $100 with your first deposit and 1 free month of Stokastic Plus Platinum. So make sure to check out Prize Picks. We'll do a video on them a little later in the week. But let's dive into the two-game DFS slate. Take you behind the glass. For those of you on podcasts, we're looking at our data usage tool. For those of you on YouTube, you can see at the top, we have all our game environment factors, pace, pass rate, offensive, defensive line interactions, Vegas data, and then how defenses match up against the opposing offenses, where they allow production overall, and then per attempt for a little bit of context. Two-game slate, and I think it's a really fun one. Some teams we don't normally get to talk about. UTEP taking on Rice. I think this is the first time we've had a Rice slate this year. And I'm a big Rice fan. I have a Rice shirt, just now wearing it right now. Instead, we're sporting Baylor. But let's dive into UTEP taking on Rice. This should be a slower game overall. The total is 49, and the spread is 3.5 in favor of Rice. This might tick to 4 before kickoff. I actually like UTEP in the game overall, but for DFS, it's a slow game. UTEP's 95th in pace. Rice is 115th. Both these teams are balanced. UTEP 50.7% pass rate. Rice is at 49%. Both these teams are above 500, so it's not like they're in severe negative game script all the time, but we've seen UTEP actually run the ball a little bit more. Let's start with quarterback for them. Gavin Hardison, he's been okay. He's averaging 216 in terms of passing yards per game on 33 attempts. The big problem with Hardison's been turnovers, and that's been a struggle for him on the road. He's actually been a lot more clean at home, and he's on the road here. So which Hardison do we see? He's had negative rushing yards a lot in his career. He's actually in the positives right now, which is a positive for him. He's not really at risk of a benching, I don't think. So Hardison's a safe play. I don't know if he's one of the top 2 quarterbacks on this slate. I personally don't think so, but you could certainly get to him in GPPs. Stacking him's been pretty easy. I think you just use either Tyron Smith or Ronaldo Flores for the most part. The tough part with Flores, you can see down in the receiving stats, he's listed as a running back, and he's not. So there's a little bit of opportunity cost with that. You know, you have to play him in a running back slot or the flex. So he's still playable. The volume's great for him. 8.7 targets per game, 52.5 yards. Flores is viable, but I would really like to just find the salary to get up to Tyron Smith, who's averaging 90 yards per game on 11 targets. He's solid. The wide receiver 3 here is Kelly Akari. Don't make too much of, like Trent Thompson and some of these other guys that have popped up for targets. It's mostly Kelly Akari, the JUCO transfer. He's out there for a majority of routes. The only thing is he's just a clear, distant wide receiver 3 in this pecking order. So to me, it's play him based on price. Flores, I would prefer him straight up over Akari if it wasn't for the weird positional designation thing. But I think any of the 3 in play, it's Tyron 1, Flores 2, Akari 3. At running back, it's a 50-50 split, but with the increased run rate, we've actually seen some usable games from both Ronald Awatt and Deion Hankins. Hankins is a little more efficient than Awatt on fewer attempts, and it's basically 50-50 in terms of touches. Awatt has a slightly better pass game rule, not by much. He has 8 targets. Hankins has 4. They don't use the running back a lot in the pass game, but Hankins a little bit cheaper, volume almost identical, and actually Hankins has outcarried Awatt in each of the last 2 games. I prefer Hankins slightly based on price, but I mean, there's only 400 between these guys. If you're playing one lineup, it's Hankins. If you're playing multiple, I would just mix and match them. It's almost identical 50-50 timeshare. And Rice is allowing 4.5 yards per carry. Rice does not have a great run defense on paper, so a matchup that might be exploitable. Let's go to Rice. TJ McMahon is their QB. He's averaging 212, 213 passing yards per game, 28 attempts. He is mobile, 146 yards on the ground. Definitely not Lamar Jackson or anything by any means, but he's capable of running the ball, and we've seen it a bit this year. He has taken 21 sacks. It's been a big issue, the offensive line, but UTEP does have a good pass rush. He'll have to navigate this efficiently if they want to cover the spread. Running back has been kind of up and down for this team. Ari Broussard didn't touch the ball in their last game. And some people speculated injury. Some people speculated that this was performance-based. It hasn't really been clear one way or another. But you can guarantee this is a timeshare regardless. You have Cameron Montgomery. He has 14 and 10 carries over the last 2 games. I would tentatively expect him to lead moving forward. If you just look over the course of the year, Cameron Montgomery has 333 yards on 51 carries. Ari Broussard has 245 yards on 91 carries. Ari Broussard just hasn't been efficient. So if this is a merit benching, it does make some sense. But Montgomery's not going to handle everything by himself. You're going to see Uriah West. You're going to see Juma Ottaviano. These guys carry occasionally here and there just because they like to use running back by committee. So it's Montgomery. If you're playing one, I'm probably not going to play a ton of this backfield, maybe just some GPP Montgomery. In the receiving game, we have former quarterback Luke McCaffrey playing really well. He's averaging 8.6 targets per game, 76.5 receiving yards. You can definitely play McCaffrey here. He's had really good volume and really good efficiency this year. Bradley Rosner's been pretty solid too, 6.1 targets per game for him, 72 yards per game. A little more efficient than McCaffrey, just a little less volume, but he's also cheaper. This is pretty efficient pricing for these guys overall. I'm going to be playing some of both with a preference to McCaffrey. The wide receiver 3 for this team has been a little up and down over the course of the year. I do think it is Isaiah Esdale for the most part. His routes went 78%, 14%, 70%. I'm not sure if there was an injury in there, but aside from that game, he's been consistent. So I'll continue to bank on Esdale. He's a transfer. 3,100 is fine for him. 31 yards per game, 4.5 targets. And then Jack Bradley's their tight end. Would rather play Esdale, but he's right in play too for those of you in GPPs. Game 2. This one's a banger. I can't wait for this game. App State, Coastal Carolina, 64 total. So clearly the game we want to be spending most of our time on and most of our salary. App State's a 3-point favorite. The pace, App State 75th, Coastal is 110th. The reason the total's so high is because of offensive efficiency and lack thereof on defense. Now, App State, they are fairly run heavy, 45.5% pass rate. Coastal's even run heavier. They're passing just 42.7% of the time. But Chase Bryce still has moderate efficiency, 240 passing yards per game on 30 attempts. Does have 60 rushing yards, doesn't break the bank there, but steady quarterback in a high total game. I do think he's a top 2 option here. The backfield has typically been a 50-50 timeshare between Nate Noel and Cameron Peoples, and that's what it's been for the most part this year. They have both battled injuries at various points. Peoples has been a lot more efficient than Nate Noel, but that's also reflected in prices, a 200 difference between them. I think you're just mixing and matching these two for the most part. You know, Nate Noel is a little more involved in the pass game, and then Cameron Peoples functions as more of your like goal line banger. So this is something where I'm trying to mix and match these two. There is one kind of wrench in the plan here, and that is the return of Daytrich Harrington. He's been involved too. So last year we basically had 2 guys carrying the ball. This year it's been more 3 guys with Harrington back, and we've seen Anderson Castle pop up a bit here and there too. So this is full-blown running back by committee. The only thing keeping it in play is, tight spread. That means we should probably see more Peoples and Noel. And then Coastal Carolina, 4.3 yards per carry allowed. That's not good. In the receiving game, another position that has battled injuries really throughout the year. So I'm going to take you to routes. And their last game, they played Robert Morris. So not much to see there. Let's go to the game prior, which there's a little bit of noise in this game as well, but they did return a lot of players. You had Deshaun Davis, 55% of the routes, Christian Horn, 50%, Christian Wells, 65%, and Caden Robinson, he was banged up. So I think this team rotates receiver mainly throughout the course of the year. And if I had to rank them, it's going to be Christian Horn 1, Deshaun Davis 2, Caden Robinson 3 tentatively, or Christian Wells. So these are the guys I want to play. I'm not as interested in Dalton Stroman. His routes have dropped a little bit since the other players returned. So this is it's volatile. I think you're going to see 5 receivers on the field for this team at any point in time. But in the past, when they've been in competitive games, it's been mostly Horn, Davis, Robinson, and Wells. So I still think Stroman is a bit behind, but ultimately expect all of them to play. And then at tight end, you have Henry Pearson. He's going to lead the way, but expect Eli Wilson to also function in, as well as Miller Gibbs. Really, really tough team to peg for GPPs. Coastal Carolina is a bit easier. They're very run heavy, but Grayson McCall is certainly involved in this. 158 yards this year. That's down from previous years, and he's been battling injuries at times, but still hyper efficient as a signal caller. 257.5 passing yards and just 27 attempts is really incredible for him. The backfield, they're finally healthy. This should be mostly a timeshare between CJ Beasley and Reese White. They've both been efficient. You've just seen more Beasley this year than you've seen Reese White overall. So they both are averaging just over 60 yards per game. You've got Beasley at 69.9, White at 63.6. I'd expect them to lead the way. Interestingly, they got Bryce Carpenter involved last week. He's their backup quarterback, or at least he's listed as a quarterback. They might actually be using him more as a pure runner. 13 carries last week. Now, how much does that affect McCall? I think it does a little bit. It's really hard to kind of decipher what they're doing with him. But in the receiving game, this is a little more clear. You've got Sam Pinckney, wide receiver 1, Jared Brown, wide receiver 2. Maybe this is 1A, 1B situation. They both average 78 yards per game. Pinckney does it on 8.8 targets. Brown does it on 5.9. Brown's had a couple like really long fluky plays previously. So I think this is basically a 1A, 1B situation, and both are fine to play. I want to get at least one of these guys in my lineup. And then from there, the wide receiver 3, this is a spot where I think it's Tyson Mobley for the most part. He's somebody who's actually had a pretty good route rate for this team. I'll play him with some confidence. Xavier Gravett missed their last game. He's their tight end. This is something to monitor because without him, Jacob Jenkins played a lot more for this team. And I'm not sure if that's going to continue or if it's just a function of, all right, we lost Gravett. So watch his injury status. And then last thing I want to highlight here is they do use a lot of 2 running back sets. So we mentioned Beasley's the 3. His route rates have been 60%, 55%, and 59%. Meanwhile, Beasley's a running back. Scratch that. I was trying to talk to you about Mobley, but they do use a fair amount of 2 running back sets with Reese White back. So you already heard Beasley's routes. Don't think too much of that at this point. But Tyson Mobley, his routes have been somewhat volatile on certain games. I think he's still very viable as the wide receiver 3. Not sure where I was going with there. Just ignore that. Mobley's still your clear wide receiver 3 if you're playing somebody cheaper, but ultimately he's only 600 behind Brown. I think that's the jump you want to make. Anyway, sorry for that. That'll do it for the slate. If you guys have questions, make sure to leave them in the comment section and let me know what you think of the breakdown. Would love to hear it. You can also reach me on Twitter at Matt_Kajeski. We'll be breaking down not only today's games, but Fridays and Saturdays. Get to everything you need to know DFS-wise. Until next time, you guys have a good day and good luck.